Ooh, it's party time, Mom. Welcome to another episode of the Chad Prather Show. We're here in the mothership, which is Studio 22. Puppet Master Mark Candice, the queen of the Ethiopians. That's right, the Ethiopian is back. She has demasked herself. Looks so charming. You know what I've noticed, Candice, is when I'm out in public, the waiters, waitresses, and stuff like that, they're starting to get more and more rude because you can't see their face.
Oh, yes. It leaves a lot to the imagination, not in like the best way either, because you can't tell anyone's facial expressions.
You can't, but they're starting, their little smart-ass mouths is starting to come out too.
They've learned to smile with their eyes and cuss you with their mouth.
Well, it's happening. And it like the last two restaurants I've been in this week, I was like, dang, what'd I do to this person?
And are they hot or not?
Yeah, like, okay, so we spent the entire time at that comedy club looking at a dude's eyes, the manager there. I had no idea he had a beard until the final night we were there.
Beard. I'm like,
I had no idea he had a freaking beard. And he didn't have a face that you would think would have a beard on it, right?
Okay.
So, anyway. This whole thing's freaking me out.
It is.
Dude. The whole thing's freaking me out. And you go to the airport, everybody's wearing a mask. You go to a restaurant, everybody's wearing a mask. You go wherever, everybody. Yeah, and you go in the hotel lobby, everybody's wearing a mask. And I'm like, come on, people. Come on. Is this life now? Is this what we're doing from now on? I'm going to give this thing till 21, and then I'm going to raise some damn hell. I really am. I'm like, I'm being gracious now, right? And I'm not one of those anti-mask people. If you want to wear a mask, I've said it over and over again. People go, well, what do you think about your non-mask? I don't care if you wear a mask. And you know what? It ain't the gate agent's fault or the ticket person's fault at the airport if I choose to not wear the mask. I just put the mask on rather than chew them out, right? Mm-hmm. Because it ain't their problem.
I got in trouble on the airplane for not having my mask on twice.
By one of our fans, too.
Yeah, by
a fan. And then she was like, and then she looked over at me and she said, would you come up here and take a picture with us in the galley? And I said, sure.
Shameless.
And I got up there and she goes, you don't have to wear that mask.
Steve does.
Swear to God, true story. True.
Just the
story.
hippie.
Just the
oh yeah. Hey, listen,
hippie.
guys. If you, I don't know if you've noticed or not, and I'm talking to you guys, so just pay attention. Maybe your hair isn't looking as full as it used to. That's right. Losing your hair sucks, folks. It's no fun. So let's talk about some options. You ready? Here we go. You can go to your doctor for hair loss treatment. You can get a prescription. Then you can go to the pharmacy and try to not go broke just to avoid going bald. Or you can try Keeps from Keeps.com, and you can do Keeps.com from the comfort of your own home. You'll get the same doctor-recommended, FDA-approved hair loss treatment, but Keeps offers the generic versions, that's right, for about half the cost. So, one of the things you're going to love about Keeps, it's all online. Answer a few questions, snap some pictures of your head, send those things in, and a licensed doctor is going to review your info and recommend the right hair loss treatment for you. Then it's shipped directly to your door. So why make unnecessary trips to the doctor and the drugstore when you can do it all from home? So let me get you started. Special deal. Go to Keeps, KEEPS.com/loss. Keeps.com/loss. You're going to get 50% off your first order of Keeps hair loss treatments. That's Keeps.com/loss. I want you to go there today. Be right back. I have a surprise for everybody. My good friend Catalina Lauf is in town. Of course, the last time you saw Catalina on this show, she was running for Congress out of Illinois, but she's a loser! Just kidding. Not in our book, you're not.
Leave her alone.
You had a hell of a run.
Thank you.
You had a hell of a run.
all the great
Thank
ones
you.
lose at first, then they come back and they nail it.
Well, she's not done.
No,
She's not done.
She shouldn't be.
Y'all don't believe it. Trust me, watch how bad I lose for governor.
Stop.
That's my campaign slogan.
Watch you win.
It could happen. Stranger things have happened. I mean, Donald Trump got elected president.
That's true.
That's a strange thing. But he had name recognition.
Yeah.
Tell me something. First of all, how are you? And when are you moving to Texas?
I'm great, and I don't know.
You can't even talk about stuff like that. I put you right on the spot.
I know. I hope soon because
come to Texas.
I should.
We were talking off air, and I was twisting her arm a little bit. Texas is the center of the universe, so you should come on down.
It's great down here. The weather's great. No snow, right?
None.
Illinois is my home, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I know how that goes. Like, whenever I travel around the country, I get to certain places, and it's like, I just don't think I could live in it just because it doesn't feel like home.
Yeah.
You know? So sometimes there's that element. But, of course, you feel at home in Texas.
I do.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Everybody's just so much nicer around here.
Yeah.
Now, Midwest people are great, too, but there's a certain charm, Southern charm down here that I like.
Yeah. Well, we don't mean it, but we are hospitable. I'm kidding. Ish. People are still hung up on the fact that I said there's no snow. We get a little bit, but nothing like you get in Illinois. So, we've talked about this thing. Running for office, how does that change your life? Just the pace of it, the invasiveness of it. How was your experience overall?
Life-changing.
Really?
It's an experience of a lifetime. I mean, I think that a lot of people go into it not really knowing what to expect at all. A lot of people don't do it because they do believe that it's too invasive and that you have to become a certain character and a certain person in order to appease everybody. But I think that the easiest part about the whole experience for me was that we do live in this era now that people are so craving authenticity. Yeah. And it was easy for me to differentiate myself with my primary opponents because, we had a lot of establishment career politicians and, I was just myself all the time. Right. And I think, being able to be out there with the people and really showing that you want to be a public servant and that you want to be boots on the ground and that you're here to make change and not just to be a political hack is really kind of where the era is going. So for me, it was a great change in terms of the experience and all that. But yeah, of course, people are in your life all the time and they examine every word that you say and they try to twist things and change it. It's been the hallmark of politics for decades. But it is an amazing experience. I think I grew so much, not only from an emotional standpoint, but mentally. And it was really challenging, but also really rewarding. Yeah. So it's great.
You're exactly right about how people twist things and all of a sudden they become a reality. It's an interesting phenomenon to watch, right? Mm-hmm. So a few weeks ago, I put a video out about, always have to watch Steve and Natalie over here because they like kids that can't stop with each other.
Well, no, she was showing me her gray hair.
Her gray hairs, I know.
Thursday is changing
now.
Oh,
no.
So, they're over there having a full-blown gray hair conversation. Yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a video, I think it was on a Sunday night, a live video on Facebook where I started talking about I'm anti-mandatory vaccines of any form.
Yeah.
And I was very adamant. I've always been very adamant about that. As far as mandatory doesn't go over well in my vocabulary, right? Of course not. It just doesn't fit my life very well. It's kind of hard to say the word mandatory and American altogether. What, Steve?
Well, I was going to say mandatory and extreme. Those two words I stay away from, except when it comes to deodorant. It should be mandatory and it should be extreme.
Exactly.
Which if Matthew McConaughey runs for governor, he'll mandate no deodorant on anyone.
He doesn't believe in deodorant.
So he's
really?
And he is running.
He'll probably make it.
He is running.
According to a headline I read yesterday, could be fake news, but again, according to a headline, did not read the article, didn't even see where the article was from, but my inbox was inundated. So I made the comment, I said, but if you don't get a vaccination, there are certain things that the public schools can make demands and requirements on your life. Well, people immediately jumped on that and said that I was for mandatory vaccines, right?
Unbelievable.
Even today, I got a message from somebody who said, well, I saw in a video where you said you were mandatory vaccines. And I was like, well, then you didn't see the video. Mm-hmm. You didn't watch it. But you read a comment somebody made because that thing blew up. Even Sarah Gonzalez with the Blaze, she came to my defense on the thing. She's like, you people aren't paying any attention. So it's interesting how that...
Yeah.
Did you have any of that kind of thing happen?
I did. There were a few debates that we did with all the candidates, and somebody took something I said way out of context. It was about the ERA or something. It's like, first of all, I wasn't even around. This thing has been a lot since 1920. Like, that's the problem right there, is the fact that I, maybe wasn't well versed in it because it's an archaic piece of legislation, right? Yeah. But the problem is, and I think, what the Democrats do so much better than I think Republicans do in terms of a messaging standpoint is that we're constantly on defense. You know, we're constantly defending our words all the time. And that's the biggest issue, is that instead of owning up to, and you know, you're obviously that type of person, but what people just hate about Republican politicians is that we cave not we, but they cave so much, and they play into the bullying, and they allow themselves to be put in these corners. Yeah. And instead of staying firm and not having to defend everything that you say and, you know, be straightforward, I think is just what people want. I mean, we need people with backbones that aren't afraid to call out somebody being, you know, taken out of context. Yeah. Instead, we're apologizing.
It always happens.
Yeah.
And you find yourself having to defend yourself. I shouldn't have to defend myself to a stranger. And you know what? I should also be allowed to say, I don't know.
Right.
There's 9 million ways you can say, I don't know. You can put an emphasis on every word. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you can say it any way you want to say it, Natalie. I don't know. And nobody knows everything. That's the whole point. That's why you appoint good people around you, good staff, and all those kind of things. But you're right. People are constantly saying, if it's not the name calling thing.
Oh, God.
Like if a stranger calls me a racist, you don't know me, so it doesn't matter. But I go back to the old Andrew Breitbart, and even Ben Shapiro had updated some things Breitbart did in a little booklet he wrote about debating. And their thing was, don't go on the defense. No. Always attack. Always attack. Take the fight to them. And that's one of the things as conservatives we've lost.
Absolutely. Well, and also to your point about not knowing things, I mean, since when were politicians the smartest people in the room?
Right.
I mean, that's the problem, is that we're everyday people. You're supposed to be listening. You want to be understanding your constituents, and they should be solving the problems because they know what's best for them. And politicians have become this, I know everything. I have to have an answer to everything. And I think that's so wrong.
That's what I think when I see AOC.
Yeah.
I think she knows everything. She seems really, really smart.
She is well-versed.
She is well-versed.
Yeah, she knows her lines very well.
I start thinking, you know what? William F. Buckley Jr., AOC, yes. I just really feel the meeting of the minds.
Go back to playing on your phone.
Yeah. I'm hiring Catalina. I'm bringing her to Texas. Forget her political aspirations.
Great. I'm looking for a job.
I'm bringing her down here. She's going to be like, no, Chad. She's going to keep me grounded is what she's going to do. Oh, because just listening to her talk, it's like we want to apologize just for being real people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't believe in that at all. Yeah, I mean, I keep going back to George Washington. I mean, George Washington, do you know what George Washington's career was, Steve? Put you on the spot.
Career?
You know what George Washington did as a career before he was the general in the Continental Army, before he was a general or a colonel, I should say, under King George at the age of 22. Do you know what his career was? He was a surveyor.
I was going to say a blacksmith. But,
he was a surveyor. Well, you wouldn't have been too. I mean, you could have been a good guess.
Like Jesus.
There weren't that many jobs to be had in frontier America.
Either a blacksmith or a miller.
Yeah. And then when he finished being president, he went back to Mount Vernon and made whiskey. I mean, that's the thing. And he was a reluctant leader in that, he was a natural born leader and he was a good leader. Mm-hmm. But when he was done, right? And that's something that's been lost in politics in America today. These people become career politicians.
On both sides. And that is a huge issue. Like, why are people, Republican and Democrat, in office for 30, 40 years? Mm-hmm. I mean, the times change. You need to solve modern day challenges. And it's just, I mean, it's ridiculous. People have made a career out of being in politics instead of understanding the business owner, instead of understanding everyday American people. And I think, again, both sides do it. And that's why we need a complete revamp. That's why President Trump won. Obviously, people wanted somebody who understood everyday American people. And I think you lose that when your focus is so much on politics, like a Joe Biden.
Right.
I mean, the things that they say on, we need a newcomer in our party. It's like Joe Biden has been a politician for how long?
Yeah. What do you think about Joe's deal where he says, okay, I've narrowed it down to 4 black ladies? I mean, basically, that's what he's come out with now. I'm picking a black woman.
Well, he said there are 4 black ladies out of the people.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
But he said he was picking a female woman, a person of color. All right.
Yeah, he's kind of even back.
Which I don't understand how he can identify a female in this day and age.
You got to sniff them real good.
And you got to really smell them up. Catalina, what are your thoughts on a deal like that? I mean, it's like let's get away from racism and sexism, but
That's all that they care about. Yeah.
that's what you're going to float.
You know, I would be so offended if somebody chose me or anybody just because of my gender or my ethnicity.
Unless it was your husband.
Right, exactly. Then he better.
But even
have
then, I
some
don't want to
check
get
boxes.
married on that basis.
No.
I don't want somebody picking me just for physical qualities.
And why?
right?
Why is that?
Steve's all about
Go
that.
back to playing on your
Why
phone.
is that the focus, though? I mean,
know.
you need to pick the right person for the job.
Thank you.
And whether you're in a corporate board or down to any entry level position, it should be the right person with the right skill set and that matches with whatever the goal is of whatever position you're doing. Right.
Yeah.
Also,
If I had to have surgery and I said, nope, I definitely want a woman. I don't care if it's a woman or a man. I want the right person to cut me and open me up.
Depending on what you're
Right
going
person.
in for, you
Exactly.
might have a preference. I mean, when I'm getting the prostate checked, I totally want a lady.
Really? I just want the right person.
I want smaller hands is what
Okay.
I want. I don't want to feel like I'm getting felt up by Willie Mays wearing his glove.
Well, you might like it.
you might like it. a little bit.
Easy there, Jose Canseco. Golly.
He doesn't like it. He's a little jumpy.
Oh, he does?
I'm a little jumpy.
You have
But no, I mean, that's
experience
the whole identity politics thing it just wears
Agreed.
me out. It does. And so, yeah, anyway, it's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing. Did you find that you ever had to deal with nerves? I mean, when it came to things you might not know or just being in the situation or the platform you were on?
Absolutely. I think, especially given my age and all the
17.
on a good day, given all the pressure, I think with the media and being a younger person in politics, especially on the Republican side,
Yeah.
a lot of that is, you want it, you always want to put your best foot forward because there is a lot of stigma that you have to kind of navigate.
Right.
And those definitely cause a lot of nerves. And, at the end of the day, though, it's not about age or, ethnicity or gender. If you have a platform and if you connect with people, that's what matters. And I think that really kind of calmed a lot of my nerves throughout the whole process. But just realizing that, why I was there, why I was doing it, and why I was so passionate about giving back and helping, change the party in a way that I think it really needs to happen, helped a lot of that. But of course, I mean, anytime.
Yeah. What's next, though? What are we running for next? Have we decided?
No, I'm not sure. I want to be in the game. I think, I'm not done yet. I'm a fighter. And I think that we need younger people. We need new people in the party.
I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it.
You have to.
Nothing.
You have to stand forward.
I have felt more energized by the idea of being able to go in and use your voice and platform
Yeah,
to make a difference. At least get people thinking.
of course.
I've been more energized through this whole thing. I said I would never run for office, and here we are doing this thing. Did you feel that way? Like
Sure.
I'm gonna do this thing, right?
I never thought I was going to run for office ever. But once you have the fire in the belly, it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And people see that passion. People see how genuine.
Catalina
It'll be-
Lauf. Pay attention. We'll be right back. It's okay, Alan West. It's okay, Alan West. Don't respond to my text messages. I'm just kidding. I did congratulate him. I congratulated him publicly as well on winning the Texas GOP chairmanship. Great
Big
win
congratulations.
for him.
Yeah,
He
it's huge.
absolutely destroyed Dickey in that deal to unseat him. So I'm happy to see that. I have been in touch with the Colonel's people, and
For the
so
GOP.
thankful for that. Interesting move. I never understand quite what these politicians are doing, right? I keep giving it a hard time. But yeah, you're hot mic'd over there.
Mine's on mute.
Well, just stop talking in general before you say things, and we have to kill you. I'm always looking at these guys like Alan, and I'm like, okay, buddy, what's next for you? You running for governor? Are you going to run for president? What you going to do? If he runs for governor, I mean, I think he wins big. And I say that as his opponent.
You could take him out. And not
look,
like
man, that's my focus. That's the way I look at politics. Is the best man needs to do the job, and there's no better man, in my opinion, than a Colonel Allen West. And I would say that if I was standing on a televised debate stage with him, I would say that. Now, do I bring other things to the table? Sure, I do. Of course, I do. But at the end of the day, if Allen West were the governor of Texas, I couldn't be any happier. Right?
I agree.
Unless he gets bought out like our current governor has.
Hope not.
For whatever reason. And I don't think Allen's viable.
And that's why I haven't chose who I'm going to vote for yet.
Well, I haven't chose to pay you either. Your paycheck here recently. No, I'm just kidding. We don't use bribery or extortion. Wink, wink, Alan. When you get to where you're going, remember me. No, I love Alan, and there are certain things that I would debate with Alan on various things, but it would just be a friendly conversation.
But iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah, the day would just be a friendly conversation.
That's absolutely right.
Alan's been on this show numerous times. He'll be back on this show soon because we're going to talk about his win, and I'm going to put him on the spot. I'll show you guys how I handle Lieutenant Colonel Allen B. West.
I think you should get up one morning and run 4 miles with him.
I think
and
you're
have
out of your
the debate.
damn mind.
See if you can debate him then.
I've done that a couple of times, and you shouldn't debate him while you're running.
Not
4
going to do
miles.
it. Not going to do it. What were you going to say?
No, that's so sweet that you would say that about Alan. I think it is so lost. The ego in politics is so apparent, but I think we're in a shifting dynamic now that if whoever is the right person should be the winner,
That's right?
People should step aside and allow the right person, and I think it's just so nice. It's so refreshing to hear that.
Well,
honestly.
what I'm doing is done out of reluctance, right? I just feel like somebody's got to step up and shake the box a little bit.
Of course.
And if a guy like me, with all the skeletons in my closet, I keep saying we're going to have a skeleton parade bigger than Mardi Gras. I mean, let's float those bones right on down the center of the street. It's out there. I've lived my life. I've done a lot of living in my life. I had somebody the other day who posted a picture from years ago when I was bartending at a charity event for the Chive, actually, and I was wearing. Somebody had like a corset, but it was like a Wonder Woman or a Captain America type female corset, and I just had it over my T-shirt like that, and I was standing there behind the bar, and somebody was like, "Our next governor, ladies and gentlemen." I said, "Well, you know what? At least we won't be shutting down any bars, and we'll get the transgender patriots on board too." So because I'm sitting right there in the bar, there's plenty. I'm like, if you think that picture's bad, I got a ton of them I'll share with you.
Oh,
video. It's fantastic.
Way more current.
Way more up to date.
Former crossdresser Chad Prather.
I've got a video on the Blaze where I'm dressed up like a woman. My character Beverly Wall, she's out there. She's not a woman, she's a man. But she feels like a woman. Anyway. See? That's the way it ought to be right there. But what's funny is, and maybe you got this too, and I know you did because it's just natural. The people who come along and say, "Yeah, but you're not qualified." Right?
Oh my God.
I mean, how do you get qualified to do a job that nobody respects anyway?
Right. Well, that's the problem. Nobody does respect it. The only qualification, for Congress to me is the Constitution.
Right.
And that's the age requirement.
Requirement, maybe you're an American citizen.
Yeah, right.
Well, read the
Pledge of Allegiance,
Constitution. Let's
maybe?
start there. Most folks
Kidding.
don't do that.
No.
Right? Most folks have never read the Constitution. And then most everybody's never read the Federalist Papers, that's for certain. Most people have gotten bogged down in you don't even read your Bibles, much less the Declaration of Independence, right?
Right.
So it's funny how people are.
But when you think about it, think about COVID and the pandemic that was, that is happening. But, when I was still running when it had just started out, and a big part of my push with the campaign was, I'm talking to doctors about this. I'm not up here as an expert or a doctor. You should defer those conversations to the people that know what they're talking about. And so in terms of qualification, well, the people are the ones that should be legislating, and they should be the ones whose opinions you are taking in. And that's the biggest issue, is that, people joke around that, Donald Trump was not qualified, or people who have been in business aren't qualified. It's like, no, you're a servant leader. Being a politician is about being there for the people. And this qualification standpoint, I mean, it's so.
Well, Roger Stone made a great point on the show the other day. He said, who are you going to vote for? The guy that's already built the economy once in a big way, and if it hadn't been for all these outside sources to attack it, we'd still be doing great. He can build it again. Or a guy who doesn't even know what day of the week it is, or if his sister is his wife, or whatever's going on in his head. I mean, I was getting out of the truck this morning, and I was listening to Town Hall News, and they were talking about Joe Biden anticipates giving another speech today from Delaware, and I'm like, every speech he gives is from Delaware.
His basement, probably.
His basement. It's where he lives. What do you think about this going on with Joe Biden and all of this stuff? You think they'll fight them having? When I say they, like the media is going to really have a push, and the DNC is really going to have a push to not have any debates?
Absolutely. I mean, their biggest advantage right now is the fact that he's not speaking. Right. And I think it all definitely comes down to who the VP is. I think that'll eventually be who's actually, on there. I think it'll be Kamala.
Me too.
Which I hope, because for some reason she's just not a likable person.
She's not. So did you see the pictures over the weekend where she looks like it was a botched up Botox job or facelift, or was that like a deep fake thing? Candace, what do you think on that deal? You saw the pictures, right? Did they just jack with her?
I think it might have been a photoshopped image, but
it looked like it might have been. I don't know. Anyway, these people, stay away from the surgeon's knife now.
I would love to have some Botox, not botched, but I'm.
Oh, you do.
I need to make a visit. Preventative.
No. I think it's going to be Kamala. I think that every one of those things. I want your opinion on this too. I think every one of those candidates were so radical that the DNC knew that Joe Biden was the only one that they could realistically get into that spot and have a chance to win.
Well, but also control. I mean, he's just as bad. These are literal communists that are on the Democratic ticket for, presidential. Yeah. On a presidential ticket. That's a very scary concept. And Biden, I mean, they're just so out of touch.
Well, that was one of the things where people keep saying, well, he'll get in there and they'll kill him off so that the VP. No, they don't have to kill him. All they got to do is say, Joe, it's time to resign. Mm-hmm. And he'll do it, because you said the control word. That's true. Mm-hmm. They can control Joe. Mm-hmm. You give him the presidency, him and Jill, they get their lifelong dream, and you can control him. At least he was president for 6 months. Then boom, out of the way. Because they know that one of those radicals cannot get elected. America, just as progressed as America has become, they ain't ready for Bernie Sanders, and they're not ready for some of these Elizabeth Warrens. They're just too radical.
No, not at all. And I mean, even people like Tulsi Gabbard, who people think, well, she wasn't as radical, and she, sports all this, military veterans, which is great, but this party is all radical.
All radical. And when I said progressed a minute ago, I didn't mean that in a positive way.
No.
I mean, it's progressed in a very negative way. I'm using their phrase, progressive.
And Joe Biden, I mean, it is just the amount of money, I mean, the amount of scandals that could come out, the amount of darkness that we have seen with not only him, but with the Obama administration. I am so optimistic that people see right through him.
They do. I mean, the guy's talking about not even a whiff of scandal. 8 years, not even a whiff. And I'm like, all about whiffs. He's taking a lot of whiffs. Dude's sniffing everybody. You ever been smelled by Joe Biden?
I have not. And I hope I'm,
lifelong dream. Better hurry. It's crazy. Well, at least he doesn't have COVID. He can still smell things, But golly, it's just crazy. It's insane to watch. Joe Biden, who is 77 going on 93.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he really is. And it's sad to watch. We say it tongue in cheek, but from a human perspective, we were fishing, Steve, down on the coast, and our buddy Mitch Bryant was down there, and I'm going to go ahead and quote him because I said, I always say, Joe comes off as that nice guy. I'm not saying he's a nice guy. I'm saying he comes off as that nice guy, as that grandfather everybody can relate to, right?
Yeah.
And Mitch was like, I don't think he's a nice guy at all. He started listing off some of the, the stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not saying he's nice. There's some weird SH going on there.
I'm fascinated. I've been hearing in the media about the polls showing Biden leading the way, and I'm thinking to myself, polls? Who is ever going to take any of that seriously anymore? There's no, I mean, considering
I've never
the last
spoken
election,
to a pollster. Have you?
Do what?
Have you spoken to any pollsters? Have they called you?
They haven't called me.
No.
you?
Catalina, you?
No.
Steve, have you?
Mm-mm.
I don't answer any numbers I don't recognize anyway. So.
Yeah. But I mean, to say he's 15 points in front and all that stuff, and it's like, okay, no. Anyway, we talk about it some more. We'll be right back. Hanging out with Catalina Lauf. So, I love following you on Instagram. It's always the adventures.
Thank you. Like to follow you too.
Oh, well, you have to tell me that now. You have to return you see that Southern hospitality starting to rub off on her. Doesn't mean it, but got to say it.
It's a little Latin in me too.
Nah, it's fun. I tell you, it's weird to be able to get on social media and keep up with people.
Yeah.
Even when you don't see them. And like, I didn't realize you had been down visiting in Texas until you sent me a message. You're like, hey, I'm in Texas. I was like, well, girl, come on over.
Yeah.
So that's good. I just like my people, when you get around folks and you like them and you want them to stay close. And
she had a great time at the
came over to Texas Gun Experience.
And she posted this video that has had a lot of views, and I know why.
Was your bahonkus?
My body doubled, which is my sister.
Yeah.
Better behind than I have.
Was she laying down and shooting machine guns?
Yes, the MK-48. It was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had. And that's
it's a lot of weapon.
It is. When
I say that ain't a firearm. That's a weapon.
No. That's like Lauf's sister date night was totally complete with Texas Gun Experience. So, and I've told all of my friends about it. We were like, hey, Dad, come down here. You got to come to Texas.
Cool place,
it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to make myself start going over there at least once every 2 weeks and doing a video
Me
from
too.
there. Because you're going to be there too. We got some fun video that's coming that we're going to be doing there this next week with Ariel Scarella. Ariel, of course, she was very liberal and very lesbian. Now she's still very lesbian and not so liberal. And I love her. She hasn't
met me yet.
Gosh.
She is such a character. But she's coming down from New York. We're going to do some videos over there. She never shot a gun.
She hasn't.
But Brandon Straka, we're going to do that with Elijah Schaefer's going to participate. Maybe. Good. We'll see if I let him.
I think that's the greatest part about campaigning and being involved in this world is just meeting so many amazing people. I mean, so many amazing people.
They really are. And from all walks of life.
Of course.
I think Ariel, and I could be misspeaking on this, but I think it was because of Brandon Straka's walk away movement that she kind of got pulled out and started seeing some things. And then it was guys like Rogan, O'Hanley, DC Drano, and Grant with typical liberal. Those guys kind of took her under wing, and that's just the great thing about it. I mean, nobody's trying to proselytize anybody. It's just we'll accept you where you are, who you are. You're going to have those weird extremes that aren't that way, but that's not the general.
And on both sides.
It's on both sides.
Yeah.
Of course
on both
it is.
sides.
We kind of fail to look at our own side sometimes and go,
we do.
No, this is just extreme.
Well, and we were talking about this off air. So this past weekend, and I want to remind everybody, come see me in Oklahoma City this weekend. We were in Tempe, Arizona. Jill Kimmel, if that name rings a bell, Kimmel, it should, because it's Jimmy Kimmel's sister, right? But we didn't even think about that. Jill was her own person, right? She's so talented. Such a funny comedian. But she's got her brother's politics, she's got her own politics, and those are left-leaning politics. She came in and she said, when they asked me to do this, I was like, I don't know if I should. Like, is his crowd going to like me? And then they said, she said that a comedian friend of her called her and said, and I love this, I laughed, I told it on stage every night, that you're definitely going to get coronavirus in that crowd because they're all mouth breathers. I was like, that's so perfect. So, but at the end of the weekend, she said, you guys were the best. I mean, like she said, normally I go home or I don't hang around. I go hide out. She said, y'all were the best. I loved hanging out with y'all all weekend long. I want to work together with you again. Your audience was awesome. They were gracious. They laughed, and they were, man. It was a great audience all weekend.
She's a very intelligent, and funny comedian. And so, but she was a great person.
But that's why I say, don't be, we laugh about you go to church and then, you do church for an hour and a half, and then you go cuss the waitress out at the chicken place on Sunday afternoon. Most of us don't do that. Most people don't do that. But it just takes the one jackass that gives everybody the bad reputation. It really is. And I say that from a conservative standpoint. Take the battle to them. We've talked about that in the debates. Take the battle to them, but at the same time, there's a way to do it. Because if you get into I go to the FUs, the up yours, go to hells and kiss my eyes. If you get into that, you've lost. You're not debating anymore.
No, and also I think it's so important now. The media and social media and all this noise forces us all to believe that we're so divided.
Yeah.
But there's stories like your experience with Jill and
real people,
human connection. And we need to go back. I think both sides do a really poor job of highlighting the good and the human element of politics. And I think, it's super important that we start shedding light more on the positivity that you can be united. And it's not just about party politics. Humans are way too complex to only have, that to be the forefront of relationships. And so it's so nice that you have, stories and talk about them and be open. Yeah, I don't agree with the politics, but we're still human. We had a friendly conversation. There's not enough of that in politics today on both sides.
There's not. I put on, because I keep saying, let's keep Texas great. Keep Texas great. I've hashtagged it, and we've named a pack after it and all that stuff. And people, I'll post that on there, and people say, you mean keep it red? Well, actually, I do. The reason I believe in conservative values is because I believe those will be the best to help prosper this state and you as the individual citizen.
Absolutely.
Now, that doesn't mean I don't love you if you think blue or vote blue, or if you are liberal or even liberal progressive. I've said for years now on this show, I miss the old liberalism.
Blue dog Democrat.
Yeah, the blue dog Democrats. I mean, the folks that just voted their conscience, and it wasn't about identity politics and what needs to be canceled. I mean, I'm so sick of that stuff. I'm willing to have that conversation with anybody, but I do believe in conservative values for a reason.
Absolutely.
I don't believe we make ourselves purple. I believe. Remember the whole idea of reaching across the aisle?
Yeah.
It meant, and George W. Bush did a great job of that when he was governor of Texas. Is being able to talk to Democrats and being able to, and I know you people are going to say, that's because he was one of them. I was like, okay, whatever. But he was diplomatic. I mean, just George, God, he's just George.
You could say, you could almost say that about Trump.
Trump's not extremely conservative. He's a centrist. He's an American loving centrist. I mean, he's done more damage to the Second Amendment than any president ever. But it is what it is. I can point out all these different things that people don't want to think about with Trump. But anyway, he's more of a centrist. But the reason he looks so far right is because people are jumping off the freaking deep end on the left. They're going so far over there.
Well, and that's what's the scariest part is that this left, especially the Congress currently, they're just not even listening to anybody. I mean, you can't even have a conversation. Anything that the president does, anything that comes out of the administration is completely attacked. And, we need to go back to being able to have those conversations. There's so much that needs to be passed on a bipartisan level. You can't please everybody, but you can at least have conversations about it. And that's just so lost.
We just got to figure out where you're going to run. Listen, Here's the question. This has been the conversation that's come up. There's been some powers that be. There's been a little pressure there. Here's what I want to know with some time off. And when I say that, it's a little ways off. Question is, let's say Alan West runs for governor. Let's say that something happens. There's a lot of pressure out there for me to run for Congress. With the House being what it is, should I do that? If it came down to that, should I do that, in your opinion?
Absolutely.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Now, this is a guy that didn't want to get into politics, Catalina.
I think you'd be a fabulous representative.
All right. She has to tell me that.
No, she doesn't.
Are you allowed, if you keep your show, then I think that's definitely, you could do it. Yeah.
Life would be a lot easier.
Yeah.
Well, I say that. It's hard when you're in the minority. If you're in Congress and you're in the minority party, it's a
fight.
You know,
rough life.
It's tough, but look at what's happening. It is the loudest voices in the room that actually make a difference, right? You can be in the minority, but if you are actually setting the stage and having a voice on topics that need to be addressed, I think that there's a lot of power in that too.
Yeah.
And I mean, you look at people like AOC, that is, her loud voice is dictating public policy from the Democratic platform perspective, where why don't we have louder voices on the Republican side talking about, tax cuts and veteran initiatives, things that we think that matter aren't spoken enough and fought for on a public stage, even if we are in the minority. It's so much, there's power in that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think about that a lot. We'll be right back. I love her, Steve. She's so sweet.
She is.
Smart girl.
Y'all scared her off.
She
Well,
did.
she had to go. She had a plane to catch. Well, she didn't have to catch it. It's sitting there.
Smart. I'm envious of young people that are so smart. Smart girl.
You're pretty smart.
Yeah.
Pretty smart.
Pretty
smart. Street smart.
Yeah.
I like that about you, Stephen.
I like that you like that about me.
Yeah. I like that I got you fooled.
Yep.
She's a smart girl. You know who else is smart? Candice.
Very smart.
Oh, and Natalie too.
Side of it.
Natalie texted me the other day. She said, I don't like it when you tell me I'm dumb. I've never told you you're
I
dumb.
didn't say that you said that. I don't really think you think I'm dumb.
Not a single bit.
Good, I'm glad.
Not one single bit. I don't.
I'm very emotionally intelligent.
Your
she's
EQ
not
is very solid. Your IQ is very solid
Thanks.
as well.
Math is not good.
Let me tell you something. I work with the people that they are exactly who I want to be working with. People that I'm not working with, you know who you are. There's a reason I don't call you back. I'm just kidding. I work. People just think that I'm just going. You see it all the time.
Yeah.
I get messages every day. Hey, why don't you hire me to?
I get that as well.
I don't operate that way. Everything I do is by relationship. It's relationship. And if I meet somebody new, it's because of a relationship, and that's the way it goes. So I'm thankful for everybody, man. That's why this whole thing we talk about running for office and stuff like that. I'm just not wired to just start flushing relationships down the drain. Maybe not mean enough for politics. We'll see. But you know what? I'm gonna get in your head. You let me stick around long enough. I'm gonna get in your head, make you think about some things. You won't ever look at it the same way ever again. That's for sure. Go to watchchad.com. I want you to come out and hang with me and Party Foul Steve and a few other players to be named later in Oklahoma City at the Bricktown Comedy Club. Follow this fool right here, Party Foul Steve, on Instagram. We're trying to grow that sucker.
I'm getting better at it.
Meh.
Okay, maybe not.
We love y'all. God bless your ratings and reviews. Remember, folks, they matter. We will talk to you next time. Bye.